please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Well, the budget is now just 22 days away, and one sector that does not get enough attention is healthcare. Starting today, CNBC TV18 kicks off a special pre-budget series in association with Local Circles, and our focus today is on healthcare. There was an anonymous online poll conducted over the last few days by Local Circles in association with CNBC TV18. Here's what the survey has thrown up. An overwhelming 82% of the respondents want the government to regulate private hospitals. Only 8% said that the government should not dictate terms. So what is the biggest concerns that Indians have with healthcare services? 42% say rising costs in hospitals is a major problem. Another 42% say that there is a trust deficit between patients and doctors, and only 9% said that the high cost of drugs is a major concern. As a solution to this problem of high costs, 87% of the respondents voted for standardization of costs across hospitals for basic surgeries and other procedures. Only 9% have opposed this move. The next one is a no-brainer. 74% of Indians believe corruption is common across government hospitals. Only a mere 2% said that there is no corruption at government hospitals. Joining us now to discuss this survey is Yatish Rajawat of Local Circles. Yatish, before I come to you, here's Arvind Panagaria, who spoke with me on the opposition to the National Medical Commission bill. The opposition has come in from the Indian Medical Association, and Panagaria backed the National Medical Bill, which proposes sweeping reforms to the healthcare system. He believes that the IMA's concerns are misplaced. Remember, Panagaria was heading the Niti Aayog when the NMC bill was drafted. We've seen the Indian Medical Association come up very strongly against the NMC bill. The bill has now been sent to a parliamentary committee. The IMA's objection is that this is another blow to the medical profession, that this basically bureaucratizes the medical profession and gives overarching powers to the Central Health Ministry. It takes away representation from state governments. How would you respond to the criticism of the bill, and how would you respond to the concerns that have been raised about the National Medical Commission bill, sir?
Yeah, I'm afraid that all these criticisms are completely misplaced. You should really, anybody who is seriously interested in this should read the report of the Parliamentary Standing Committee of the Rajya Sabha. Now remember, this is the Rajya Sabha Parliamentary Standing Committee, which issued a report. This is report number 92 in March 2016. Yes. And you know, just if you hate to read a long report, just read the last 4 pages of that report. Yes. It in fact forecasts this fact. In its concluding paragraph, the Rajya Sabha Standing Committee report actually says that that the entrenched and vested interests are going to do everything to derail this important reform. Yes. But the government has to exercise its constitutional right and bring sanity to the entire educational system in medicine, in medical profession. So this was a mandate actually by the Rajya Sabha, and we took that mandate very seriously. And the Rajya Sabha, this standing committee report had endorsed the report by Dr. Roy Chaudhary, which had recommended precisely these 4 boards and a commission at the head of it, which is exactly what we have recommended in this bill. Yes. And if you actually look at Roy Chaudhary Committee's recommendations, they did not recommend any elected members. Actually, they recommended all the members by selection or ex officio. Yes. What we have done is to have 25. We recommended 25 members. Of which 5 will be elected. Yes. And more than half comfortably will be doctors. Yeah. So we have certainly the commission, as we have recommended, has a majority of doctors there, but we need to bring them by selection, because what has happened is that the same vested interests that today control the MCI, yes, they also control the Indian Medical Association. Yeah. So it's really same set of leaders who are controlling the two institutions. And what we have seen actually is over the decades actually, and I'm not saying even years, but over the decades, a deterioration of the education, medical education. So this needs to be, and in particular, you need to bring in the serious scholars of medicine, the serious practitioners, clinicians in medicine to actually guide the educational system in medical profession, which is not currently the case. Most because the politicization is so strong. Virtually all of the leading individuals, guiding lights of the profession have pretty much, quietly exited from providing any kind of guidance to the medical education system. So I think this is very crucial for the country today, and
for the country's sake, take the National Medical Commission bill forward, let Parliament clear it. That is Arvind Panagaria, the former Vice Chairman of the Niti Aayog. But let me go across to Yatish Rajawat on the findings of our first pre-budget poll. Yatish, healthcare often gets ignored by the Finance Minister in the budget. It's not new. It happens year after year. Beyond allocation now, given what our findings seem to be suggesting, what would your expectation be? What's the pulse of the people telling you?
So, as you saw in the poll, Shireen, that the basic concern here is of people is on three fronts. One is on pricing of procedures and hospitals. Second is standardization of services. And the third is availability of these services across the country. Now, just to give you a context behind this, as you know that over the last 25 years, the state, both state level and central level, has not invested in healthcare. As a result, 80% of the healthcare services are now in the private sector hands. Plus, as Arvind was pointing out, there is an enormous level of cartelization which has happened in this sector, as a result of which government has not been able to regulate this sector. And therefore, both with the national healthcare policy, there was a huge opposition to the policy, both by the hospitals and the pharmaceutical sector and even the pathology lab. So this cartel basically destroyed the national healthcare policy, and now they are functioning in a manner to destroy the Medical Commission bill. You must understand that this is the analogy here is that the mutual fund industry comes together and says that we don't want SEBI, or AMFI says that SEBI is not needed because as AMFI we can regulate the mutual fund industry. So IMA or Medical Council of India are nothing but a self-regulatory association of doctors themselves. So how can you expect them to regulate themselves? And they've failed at it. They've failed at pricing.
Their assertion is that we're moving from self-regulation to becoming to the NMC becoming an extension of the Central Health Ministry. But that apart, Yatish, very quickly, the key findings do seem to suggest that people want standardization, people want costs to come down. The key expectation is that perhaps the budget will move the needle towards a higher allocation when it comes to health. Mr. Panagaria's successor, Rajiv Kumar, told me just a few hours ago that he believes healthcare should be a priority item in this budget.
I hope so, and we are certainly pushing for healthcare being not only a priority item, but a top priority item, because it affects, now it has reached such an extent that there are healthcare bankruptcy happening in this country. According to government's own statistics, because the price has gone so high, 33% of people who go in for critical care actually end up in healthcare bankruptcy, which means that they have to sell their assets to take care of their patient. Now, in this kind of situation, if the central government, which contributes almost 35% of the government's investment into healthcare, does not allocate more, does not regulate properly and does not create an institutional framework to control standardization and pricing. If this is not done, and this has been, if you listen to Jaitley's last budget speech, he had promised that they will come out with a law to both regulate pricing of pharmaceuticals, which drugs, and they will revamp the Drug and Cosmetics Act, and he had promised very clearly that the Medical Commission bill will be passed and an alternative to MCI will be created. So I'm hoping that he will carry forward the intent that he had shown in the last budget and take it forward. Shivin?
Well, that is the hope. Yatish Rajawat, appreciate you joining us. We are going to be bringing you more pre-budget surveys in association with Local Circles. That's the first off the block, telling you about what India wants for the healthcare sector. With that, it is time for us to wrap up this edition of What's Up. Thanks very much for watching.